you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Living the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here, coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Living the Dream podcast, where we are going to kickstart your week with the right mindset to conquer your goals and to live your dream life. And man, am I excited to be back. This is literally the longest that we've gone between releasing episodes since we started this podcast back in 2019. What have I been up to? Slacking? Well, maybe. But we were revamping our Sweat Circuit studio in Del Mar. New inside paint job, new equipment. We even put new cable systems on the walls, all sorts of fun new toys, and even onboarding new coaches to our team. And yeah, life kind of just said, hey, this is what I need to do. I am needed in other areas. So that got me thinking. This is exactly the same thing that happens to almost everyone when we go after our goals. My goal is to release episodes consistently, and I've done a really good job over the past several years, but life happens. Some may see this as a setback, but this is not really a setback to me. I see this more as a side quest that I needed to conquer before going back to my main mission. I was revamping the studio. I was onboarding and hiring new coaches, onboarding staff, and just creating more capacity in the studio. And that matters a lot to me if I'm going to be able to do what I love, which is sharing my passion for health, fitness, and wellness. And sometimes growth requires stepping away from one output so that we can strengthen the machine that creates all future episodes and outputs. That's not failure. That is strategy. So instead of telling myself that I fell off and that I failed, instead of getting down on myself, I'm reframing it. I spent a season upgrading another system so that I could come back stronger for this. So the next time you hit what feels like a setback or a fall off on the journey to whatever your goal that you're pursuing, remember, you're learning lessons on other things. For me, I was learning things about leadership, business operations, team building, delegation, culture. Those are huge upgrades. Big, important experiences that will help me and help our community level up. So what matters now is not the gap, not the time that I spent away, but the restart. Most people let shame about lost momentum delay them even longer. Not you, though. Next time, you're going to acknowledge it, you're going to recommit, you're going to take quick action, and you're going to return with better systems and lessons on what works and what doesn't. That's how winners operate. And that's the last thing I'll really say about that. Well, the last thing I'll say is life is going to life all over you. Life got full for me. It pulled me in a direction that I was needed. The studio needed me. The team needed me. What we were building. But I'm back. And this is your reminder that it's never too late to restart. And with that, we're kicking off a brand new weekly theme that I'm honestly really excited about. All week long, we're going to be talking about this one idea. What if you treated your life like a video game? Now stay with me here, because if you really think about it, life actually works a lot like a video game. You start somewhere that you didn't choose. You're given certain strengths and weaknesses. You gain experience through challenges. You level up through effort. You face boss battles along the way. And if you play the game long enough, you slowly start to build a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. The problem is most people are trying to play the game completely wrong. They want the gear, the equipment, before they complete the quest. They want the results before they do the reps. They want the level 50 character without ever playing level 1. And that's what I want to talk about today, because one of the most powerful mindset shifts that you can make for your health and your fitness, and honestly your entire life, is this. Stop trying to start at level 50. Start at level 1. So coming up with this idea, it really got me going back into my old just memories that growing up, I loved games. I loved video games where you could build a character and where you went on quests. I was a huge fan of games like Dungeons and Dragons, which I know is really nerdy. Final Fantasy, I played that all the time. One of my favorite moments in life were when I was playing Diablo on PC and doing this online quest with other people all around the world for the first time, like when the internet started. I loved Mario 64, where you had this character that you would go throughout the entire game doing quests and getting experience. Games like Spyro the Dragon, or even the nerdiest game, Harvest Moon. I loved Harvest Moon. You were this farmer's son who got inherited a farm, and you could decide every day how you wanted to spend your day, but you only had a certain amount of time in that day to get things done. Now, you could invest in relationships, you could invest in your farm, you could invest in making money, you could invest in going and getting all the equipment for your character or building your house up. It was awesome. It was so like life. Those games were amazing because you didn't just jump into the world as some overpowered hero. You started weak. You started basic. You started with beginner gear and super simple missions. And then slowly, through completing quests and gaining experience points, your character improved. You got stronger. You leveled up. You unlocked new abilities. You found better equipment. And eventually, after enough effort and enough time invested, you became powerful. Now think about how backwards we treat our real life. In real life, people often say things like, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to get in amazing shape. I want to be disciplined. I want to be successful. But then they try to start at level 50. They try to go from 0 workouts to 6 workouts per week. They try to go from eating whatever they want to this perfect diet overnight. They try to build advanced habits before mastering any of the beginner ones. And when that fails, they think that something is wrong with them. They're not disciplined enough. They didn't try hard enough. They just didn't do enough. But in my experience, nothing is wrong with them. They're just trying to skip levels. Now, I don't want to go full tinfoil hat on you here, but there's actually a real philosophical conversation around the idea that our reality could be some kind of simulation. When you think about manifestation, when you think about the mathematical equations that make up the laws of our universe, some philosophers and scientists have argued that if future civilizations became advanced enough to create realistic simulations, and if they choose to run enough of them, then statistically, simulated realities could vastly outnumber the original reality. Now, to be clear, this is obviously not proven science. This is not me saying, hey, we definitely live in the Matrix. But I do think it's just a fascinating thought experiment, because whether life is literally a simulation or not, here's the part that really matters to us. Your reality is shaped by the rules that you follow. The inputs that you choose, the habits that you consistently repeat, that all creates the character that you build. And that's where this becomes useful. If life were a game or a simulation, you wouldn't waste your entire playthrough complaining about the map. You'd learn the rules, you would build your stats, and you would choose better inputs. You'd stop trying to skip levels and you'd play with more intention. So no, I'm not saying life is definitely a simulation, but I am saying this. It might help to act like your choices are programming your character, because in a very real way, they are. Your choices are programming your outcome. Level 1 is supposed to be easy. Here's something important to remember about every game ever made. Level 1 is supposed to be easy. It's designed that way on purpose. The first level teaches you how the game works. The very basic foundational efforts that you will be then growing on. It lets you practice the controls of the game. It gives you early wins. It builds your confidence. And those early wins are incredibly important, because once you get a few victories under your belt, something starts to happen psychologically. You start thinking, hey, maybe I can actually do this. This is exactly how health and fitness and wealth and success, this is how all of that stuff works too. Your level 1 might look like this: walking for 10 minutes a day, drinking just one more glass of water than you usually do, cooking one healthy meal a week at home, getting to bed 5 minutes earlier, waking up and stretching for 5 minutes one morning out of the week. Now, that may not look impressive. It's not impressive. But level 1 is not supposed to be impressive. What it is supposed to be is repeatable, because consistency is what earns you your experience points. Experience only comes from action. In video games, there's only one way to gain experience points, or XP. You have to play the game. You don't gain experience by watching someone else play, reading about the game in some sort of guide, thinking about playing, just thinking about it, planning how you might eventually play the game. You gain experience by taking action, and life works the exact same way. Reading a fitness book does not build muscle. Listening to a podcast doesn't improve your VO2 max. Thinking about becoming healthier doesn't lower your blood pressure. Experience only comes from reps. Boring, unglamorous reps. The kind of reps that nobody posts about on social media. But those reps are exactly what levels up your character from level 1 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 50. Now, your spawn point is random. Another thing video games teach us is that everyone starts somewhere different. Some players spawn with advantages. Others start in tougher conditions. Some people start with more resources. Some start with more challenges. Life is the same way. Your starting point might include things like your genetics, your environment for sure, the support of your family and friends, your financial resources, your education opportunities. Some people start with better gear and others start with bigger obstacles. And while that might not feel fair, complaining about it doesn't change anything. In a game, if you spend all your time complaining about your spawn point, you're burning playtime, you're going nowhere. The only real option is to play the character that you have. And the cool thing about life is that even if your base stats are fixed, your skill tree is not. One mistake a lot of people make in health and fitness today is comparing their level 3 to someone else's level 37. Social media makes it look like everyone else already has the rare armor, the legendary weapons, the perfect stats. But what you don't see is the thousands of quests that they completed to get to where they were. Now, your build is flexible. In a lot of role-playing games, your character has certain base stats. Maybe you chose the stronger warrior. Maybe you chose the faster, more agile mage. Maybe they're more intelligent, but how you develop your character, that is up to you. You choose their abilities. You choose your training and how much you train. You choose the path that you follow and the quest that you take. And life is exactly the same. Your genetics might influence where you start, but your habits, your choices, your actions determine where you go. You can develop things like strength, endurance, skill, knowledge, discipline, resilience. You can develop these things through practice, through learning, through consistent effort. In other words, you build the character over time. You get to choose your main quest. Here's one of the most important lessons of this whole episode. If you don't choose your main quest will be chosen for you. The default path in life often looks something like this. You go to school, you get a job, you work that job for decades, and you retire. Now, that's getting a lot more jumbled up nowadays, especially with AI taking off and everything, but that was what it traditionally looked like. You had this path that you went on. And really, there's nothing wrong with that path if that's what you truly want. But the key word here is choose. When you play a game, you get to decide what your quest is. Maybe you want to defeat the final boss. Maybe you want to explore every single corner of the map. Maybe you want to collect every rare item. Maybe you want to master every skill possible. In life, your quest might be becoming the healthiest version of yourself, building a strong family. Maybe it's helping people. Maybe it's creating something meaningful that helps others. Maybe in life, your quest might be living a life of freedom and adventure. There is no universal quest. You get to choose, and that is so cool. Boss battles here are a part of the game. Now, here's where life becomes very real. Every good game has boss battles, moments that are harder than everything before them, moments where every skill that you have earned are tested, and moments where you fail over and over and over again, trying to beat this boss. And you have to try again if you fail. You can't move on. You can't get any further without beating this boss. Life has these moments: injuries, breakups, illness, burnout, loss, self-doubt, plateaus and setbacks. These moments can feel like the game is broken, like the game has broken you, but they're not. Boss battles don't show up because you're failing. They show up because you've reached a level that demands growth. And every time you overcome one of these boss battles, your character becomes stronger. Side quests matter too. One of my favorite things about the games that I talked about are the side quests. They don't seem like the main mission, but they often unlock powerful upgrades later in the game. In life, your side quests could look like friendships, family relationships, curiosity, play, even things like rest and recovery. Other hobbies in your life are side quests. These things might not look super productive to the overall game main mission, but they often unlock some of the most important upgrades in life: joy, connection, perspective, meaning. Don't skip the side quests. They're a part of the game too. Define your own win condition. Here's something really important. In most games, there's a clear win condition. You beat the final boss. You complete the final campaign. You finish the storyline. Life is a little bit different here. There's no universal leaderboard. You decide what winning means to you. For some people, winning means wealth. For others, it means freedom. Still others maybe think peace, is what defines winning. And for others, it means health. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't think that the main goal is health until they've lost it. For others, it means being able to play with their kids and their grandkids when they're 80 years old with no limits. For the dream team listening to this show, winning probably looks something like this: getting stronger, living longer, having energy, staying independent, feeling confident in your body, showing up as the best version of yourself. Whatever your version of winning is, you choose it intentionally. Because if you don't define it for yourself, someone will define it for you. So this week, I want you to think about your life like a video game. Ask yourself a few simple questions. If your life really were a video game, what level would you honestly say that you're on right now? And I don't mean the level that you wish you were on. I mean the level that you're actually playing right now. Because growth starts with honesty. If you're at level 1, that's not a problem. That's where every player in the world starts. The only problem is if you're at level 1, but you're pretending like you're on level 20 when you haven't even beaten level 1 yet. So what level am I actually on right now? What is my main quest? What small actions will earn me experience points this week? And remember, you shouldn't jump to level 50. You just need to win level 1, then level 2, then level 3. Stack enough of those leveling up moments together, and before you know it, you've built a character that you're proud of. So a little tease for the week. All week long, we're going to keep building on this idea. Tomorrow on Training Tuesday, we're going to talk about how to gamify your fitness so that workouts, habits, and discipline actually become fun instead of something that you dread. We're going to turn your health into a system where you can track progress, earn experience points, and start beating your own high scores. So make sure that you tune in for that. Until then, Dream Team, consider what we talked about today. The goal isn't to skip levels. The goal is to play the game well. One quest at a time, one rep at a time, one level at a time. Stack enough of those together and you'll build a life that you're proud of playing. Start playing your game and start earning some experience points. And that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this Mindset Monday episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Share the knowledge that you gain with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend who could benefit from what we talked about today. To support this podcast and help it grow, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on and leave a review telling others how this podcast has benefited you. Leave a comment on this episode. It really does help. It lets me and those reading know how you're incorporating what you learned about. This is a non-cost way to help get this important wellness content into more people's ears. You can tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at CoachDamian_SD and let us know how this episode benefited you. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. We want to know. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Living the Dream team that we can discuss in future episodes. I will be right here with you working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.